Good day, everyone. My name is Alex Verge. I'm the President and CEO of Journey Energy. Journey is a uniquely positioned microcap energy company with exposure to a world-class shale resource play that is funded by low decline, conventional production. We produce 11,000 BOEs per day, about 60% liquids, in central and southern Alberta. With a debt to cash flow of less than 1 times, the company is well positioned to ramp up Duvernay capital expenditures in 2026 with our partner, Spartan Delta Corp. If you look at the public domain data, you can see that insiders like me have been adding to their Journey share positions lately. Do you want to know why? I've been in this industry over 40 years. I started as a summer relief operator in Swan Hills for Imperial Oil in 1980. And that was all it took for me to fall in love with this industry. I worked in everything, from shallow gas drilling in southern Alberta to deep overpressure drilling of faulted structures for Shell in the BC foothills. I was part of a team at Bonavista Energy that grew the company from 3,000 BOEs a day to 30,000 BOEs a day and then spun out NuVista, which I ran and helped grow from 3,000 BOEs a day to 30,000 BOEs a day. My exposure and history with repeatable plays comes from NuVista's entry into the Montney in 2009. A play which continues to be NuVista's flagship property, which is now producing over 90,000 BOEs a day. We were an early entrant into the Montney, where we mapped out the play after buying Ryder Resources to build a position in the Gold Creek area, and then we participated in significant Crown land sales to acquire the play. At Journey, we followed the same path. We were an early entrant into the play. We mapped up the resource in 2016, following up land acquisitions. I'm proud of what we did in the Montney and NuVista, but I have to say that Journey's history with the Duvernay is the most exciting play I've ever been involved with. Why? Well, first of all, we are in the oil window of the Duvernay, and the early results we're achieving makes this as competitive as any other play in North America. But even more important is the fact that NuVista was 30,000 BOEs a day when we first entered the Montney. When Journey first purchased our lands in the Duvernay, we were far too small. In fact, we still are, to develop a play of this size and scope on our own. We purchased the land using our precious small company resources with no idea how it would ultimately be developed. So having the idea and buying the lands was not enough. We had to be creative about how the play would be developed and how we would profit from that. Further to this, we did everything right, and we were on our way. And then COVID and commodity prices derailed us, and we had to retool. And we had to start from ground zero all over again to get where we are now. In this series of videos, you will learn a lot about the Duvernay play and why it is so important in Journey's future. Not only that, you will learn what it took in terms of perseverance and belief in the play for us to get to where we are today. You will learn why we are so proud of what a small company with very little resources can do. Since inception, Journey's base business has been in conventional reservoirs. In fact, some of our pools have been producing for over half a century, with water floods, and they have porosities of 15 to 30%, permeabilities to 50 to 1,000 millidarcies, and they have an aerial extent of 5 to 50 square miles, and often have variable well results. As a small company starting out, it made perfect sense for us to focus on these types of plays, which had low entry costs. We identified the Duvernay opportunity back in 2016 and 2017 after making an acquisition in the Gilby area involving some legacy liquid-rich production and infrastructure. The Duvernay shale has much lower porosities and permeabilities than our conventional asset base. It requires sophisticated completions to unlock the soil from the tight rock. However, it is much thicker and aerially extensive than any conventional play, so you can store a lot more hydrocarbons in it. More importantly, the well results are more repeatable and consistent, providing a visible runway to both production and cash flow growth. Back in 2016, we'd identified this play's oil window as a focus area for us. We high-graded our land base there, which means our growth wedge will be weighted to high netback oil production. 10 years later, we're essentially using the same maps that we first came up with. Duvernay shale deposit in the Gilby area is aerially extensive. The sweet spot alone covers over 500 square miles, and that's an area twice the size of the city of Calgary. Our Spartan joint venture, where Journey has a 30% working interest, covers 128 sections of land, and that's an area about half the size of the city of Calgary. Journey's head office is in the Center 10 building in Calgary. We work on the 7th floor. It's a 10-story building, and if you look at the height of this building from the ground up, it looks huge. In fact, the building is 35 to 40 meters high. That is the thickness of our Duvernay shale deposit in Gilby. So you need to picture a contiguous shale deposit as high as Center 10, covering half the size of the city of Calgary. Duvernay wells are nearly 7,000 meters from surface to total depth. That's about the distance from downtown Calgary to the airport. However, because of geosteering methods, we can maintain control of the drill bit and stay within the height of a single floor. When we complete these wells with hydraulic fracturing, we use up to 15 million pounds of sand and up to 75 stages. We also use 60,000 cubic meters of water. That's enough sand to fill an entire floor of our building up to a height of about 7 feet, and enough water to fill a row of conventional fluid hauling trucks 40 kilometers long. And all of this goes into a well that's only 4 inches across. Because of this, we need significant infrastructure to source and store water and sophisticated logistics to reduce cost per well by drilling and completing multiple wells simultaneously from existing surface pads. So in summary, the reservoir is big, the completions are big, the logistics are big, and what you're going to see is that the impact on Journey is also big. As I mentioned earlier, not all Duvernay land is created equal. Both the shale thickness and the liquid weighting play crucial roles in determining the economics of the play. All of Journey's Duvernay land is in the thickest shale in the heart of the oil window. This oil window is defined as a region of land about 10 miles across that runs parallel to the Leduc Reefs to the east. It's a bit like a Goldilocks scenario. You need to be far enough from the reefs to have a full buildup of shale, but you need to be close enough to the reefs to be inside the oil window. The reservoir is consistent across the joint venture area. Wells miles apart show similar, repeatable results. The play has largely been delineated to remove all geologic and reservoir risk, and our 2024 and 2025 activity is removing all logistical risk, and that clears the runway for future growth in 2026 and beyond. So here's what this means in terms of the numbers. Our JV lands are sufficient to support 200 gross locations. That's 60 locations net to Journey. Each location, based upon the current single well type curve found in our corporate slide deck, has a net present value of about $11 million per well, with an internal rate of return of 76%. With 60 locations at $11 million each, you can start to see how this will transform a company that currently has a $160 million market cap. The Duvernay is an incredibly exciting opportunity for Journey and our shareholders. That's why we own it, and that's why we're actively buying more. In future videos, I will look forward to sharing more about this play and how our perseverance and belief in the play is finally reaping rewards for our shareholders. We're going to give you key updates on our 2025 activities and what the play could mean for Journey shareholders. Thank you for listening.